Assalamu alaikum. Today I would like to discuss about 4 worst pandemics in the world history. You would certainly be surprised to know that whatever is happening in the world today is not new and it has been a process from 400 years ago. In 1720, beginning in 1720, an outbreak of bubonic plague broke out in Marseille, in France, which is known as the Great Plague of Marseille. It took lives of an estimated 100,000 people in that city and surrounding provinces and towns. The disease arrived on a merchant ship called Grand Saint Antoine at French port city of Marseille. It carried infected passengers from the Middle East and unloaded cargo which contained rat fleas. Plague-carrying rats soon spread across the city, and this keeps happening after every 100 years. In 1820, the first of several cholera pandemic recorded in modern history spread from India to Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Europe and Eastern Africa in the early 19th century. It began near the city of Calcutta. It originated from contaminated rice, which initially spread through flies. Due to this, highest number of lives were lost in Indonesia, Thailand and the Philippines. It persisted from 1817 until 1824, and 6 more cholera pandemics were charted over the following 150 years. In 1820, its effects were seen on a very large scale, and it was the same situation than what it was like today. Then it came Spanish flu in 1920. The Spanish flu or 1918 flu, that is influenza caused by an H1N1 virus, spread in the early 20th century, affected the lives of 50 millions of people worldwide. Despite the name, most modern scholars suggested the pandemic did not originate in Spain. Actually, France was the epicenter of this flu. It first originated in a hospital, an overcrowded camp, which was an ideal site for the spreading of this respiratory virus. It initially harbored in birds, was mutated, and then migrated to pigs, then humans inside the hospital. Once again, even though this pandemic encompassed the year 1920, it began much earlier, starting roughly from January 1918 to December 1920. But it was 1920 that was in its worst form, and many lives were lost. Finally, coronavirus in 2020, which is the only newsmaker in 2020, was initially reported at the end of 2019. It wasn't officially characterized as a pandemic by the World Health Organization until March 2020. It is transmitted by being in contact with the contaminated surfaces and through cough droplets, which reach the face, mouth, nose and eyes. It is very important to take precautions like washing hands as often as possible, not touching one's face with unwashed hands, staying away from people who cough or sneeze, avoid crowded areas and use mask. Now, how to manage? The basic strategies in the control of an outbreak are containment and mitigation. Containment may be undertaken in the early stages of the outbreak, including contact tracing and isolating infected individuals to stop the disease from spreading to the rest of the population. Another therapeutic countermeasures such as vaccinations which may be effective if available. Another strategy is mitigation. The goals of community mitigation are delay outbreak peak, reduce peak burden on healthcare system known as flattening of the curve, diminish overall cases and health impact. But in reality, containment and mitigation measures may be undertaken simultaneously to tackle global socioeconomic disruption.